This is the Pubs and Pints podcast. This podcast encourages open conversations where guests freely share their views. Their thoughts and opinions are solely their own and are intended for discussion purposes. How we doing, brother?
Fantastic. I just got done with my last Veterans Memorial ceremony at Veterans Park in Putnam.
Okay, yeah. I usually
Long
go to
day.
the Veterans Parade in New York City, but my wife has been sick the last couple of days, so just chilling out at home right now. I am going to actually pour myself one of these.
I didn't know. I heard NYPD had a marching band, which I didn't never realize they had a marching band.
Yeah, they have a marching band and the bagpipe band.
Yeah, I knew the pipe band, but
Their pipe band started, I think, a year before FDNY.
oh wow.
We're 1962. I think they were 1961.
I got a Tullamore Dew over there, but I'm saving that for a bridge we got to finish first, and then I'm going to crack that open.
Oh, yeah. All right. Is it 15 or 18 year old?
Nah, it's the old ceramic one, just the,
Oh, yeah. So that ceramic one, you can't find them anymore.
Yeah, a couple. They remade them now. They're not as cool as the old one, but they're still
Is
good
it the
stuff
full,
inside.
like now it's all green? Because the ones they used to sell were like gray.
Show you. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. So when I got in the fire department pipe band, my father brought me one of those on my first St. Patrick's Day, and it became a ritual. He would buy me one every year.
That's hysterical.
until he couldn't find them anymore. So it's probably I probably have 20 of them sitting around because I kept them.
I had a cool one. When my last guy finished, he graduated from Siena. It was a 12-year-old Tullamore that was signed. Was my name? My signature was on it. It was from the original batch from the new distillery in Tullamore.
Okay.
So, I said I'm going to save this when my last kid graduates college. All 5 got through and got done, and we were all up there for it, and we all had the bottle didn't last long. Yeah,
nice. That's on my bucket list to get to Tullamore. What was it? Last year we were in Middleton. We went to the Middleton distillery. That's a nice place.
Yeah. I was there years ago.
Nice place. So why don't we start? Your mom. You told me your mom was from Ireland, but your dad was
Bronx.
He born and raised in the Bronx?
Yeah. He's Highbridge, and my mother was Tullamore.
Where in Tullamore? Or right in Tullamore?
Right in Tullamore. Yeah, she lived right next to the fire station, actually. Number 1 Bride Street.
But you know what? Before we even get into that, how have you, Schlanta, by the way?
Cheers, brother.
How have you been?
Excellent. No complaints. 2 grandkids now, and
Really?
life is good. Yeah, 3
Good for
kids
you.
are married. One's on the way to getting engaged, and all 5 are out of college. So it's like you see the light
all
at the end
mine
of
are out
tunnel,
of
you know?
college.
Yeah,
all
it's
mine are out of
fantastic.
college. That's a nice thing.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Yep. So I'm still involved with your father got me stuck in the parade and shit like that up here.
Yeah.
So
How long have you been doing that?
I help on and off all the time. Actually, this year, I'm the Grand Marshal this year because we're trying to open up a field for West Putts. This is trying to give it a little boost, a little shot in the arm for.
The West Putt Gales?
Yep.
The Irish football? Yeah.
Still going.
Now, I remember when we were young, it used to be at Ryan's Field, right?
Yeah. They've played just about everywhere. But still going strong. There's 100 kids in the program. So now they'll finally have their own field, which is over by Austin Road in Mapac by the elementary school. So it's kind of a cool spot.
Okay.
It's great. Yeah.
We'll get into that, and we're going to talk about Irish football a little bit later. But now, did you live in Ireland for a while?
Yeah. So I came back out here in '79. So we were born. Kevin and Jenny, the last 2 were actually born in Tullamore, and then the rest of us were born out here in the Bronx or Long Island, depending on where my followers lived. We were living at the time, and then we moved back there in '70 and came back in '79.
Okay, so you went to school in Ireland.
Grammar school, yeah. Still have some buddies over there who are still there.
Now, do you remember any? Do you have any like childhood memories?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was 13 when I came out here.
So were you playing Irish football when you were over there?
Played football, played rugby, played a lot of soccer.
Okay.
Actually a little hurling too, but I didn't play that out here.
Okay. No, so you played for the West Putt Gales. When you played football, Did you play with guys from the Bronx too? Like you played down in Gaelic Park, I would assume, right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, my first game I played for West Putt, I lived over in Beach 4 in Lake Carmel, and
Yeah.
I walked to the Gateway grocery store off Towner's Road.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I got picked up there by a guy I didn't know, and there was like 5 other kids in the car. We went down to the Bronx. Got picked up by a guy I never even knew. You know, later on that night, he was so bombed. I drove his car home with 4
Okay.
kids
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
15. You know, it's kind of
yeah,
crazy. But that's how it was like then, you know.
yeah,
And we played an under 15 game or 16 at minor, and then I subbed on the senior game that night. That's how, you know, good old days. There was a lot of Gaelic was, you know, we try and teach young Irish American kids how to play Gaelic. It was neat. We got pretty good. We formed like you remember Jerry Farrell,
yeah,
Eamon
yeah,
Farrell,
yeah,
Jay Olafears. Then we had a bunch of kids from the Higginses from Mayapack, the
yeah,
Burks from Brewster, and we ended up winning the minor in '84, which was unheard of for like an Irish American group of kids to win in the city.
yeah.
It was pretty big deal
Do
back
you
then.
remember any of the other, guys from other teams? Like, did you know Eddie Bowles?
I knew a lot of the. It's funny. I played senior then in the '80s, late '80s and early '90s, before I blew my knee out. And I played for Kerry. I played for Offaly, and you got to know a lot of some of the older guys from out from Ireland had 2 or 3 different names because they were out here under a different name for work, a different name for
Okay,
football.
okay,
But you know, our biggest nemesis was probably the Rockland guys. So a lot of guys you probably went through the fire department with.
yeah.
You know, we
Tommy
would
McHugh,
the
Tommy
McHughes.
McHugh.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
exactly. Yep.
yeah.
The Reardons, McHughes. There
Okay,
were big families over there,
yeah,
and we would inevitably meet in the semifinals or finals for a few years in a row. So, in fact,
yeah,
we beat them in the semifinal for the minor, and then they beat us in the final in for junior, and then we won the junior in '95. I think it was
right.
'95. So,
Yeah, it's a game I wished I had played. I played rugby in college, and then when I got on the fire department, I played for the fire department. So we used to play against the cops at Gaelic Park in the
yep,
Bronx.
yep,
And it would always be the Irish football game and then the rugby game. Or actually, it was the other way around. It'd be rugby
yeah,
and then the Irish football game would be after that.
right.
That was back in the 90s. But
Yeah,
it
we
was a lot of
played
fun.
the cops then too because we had a couple of charity games. We'd play NYPD. We played them up in East Durham too one year, but that was such a crazy small pitch.
Really.
Yeah, I think we ended up doing like 11 aside because it was, you know, you're down the field and a couple of kicks.
Yeah. Now, in high school, you were a year older than me, but you had that great boot. You were our kicker.
That was yep. They used to call me Lanky Yankee in Ireland, and Thunderfoot was my nickname out here when I
But
played
yeah. And your brother
played
Kevin
soccer.
was really good, right?
Yeah,
Didn't he was with the Giants for a little while,
he did
right?
a little stint with the Panthers and the Giants, and he actually
Okay.
played in the for the Frankfurt Galaxy in the European League for that one summer.
Okay.
So he was an NFL Panthers player that time.
All right. Yeah. He was, I think, my brother's age.
Yes,
Yeah. My brother's 5 years younger than me, so we'd be
yeah,
6 years younger than
91,
you.
91.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yep, yep. And Merchant Marine Academy, and then onto that.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
good
That
piano
was.
football.
Yeah.
Lefty and righty. So he's a little ambidextrous. He was good. Lefty punter.
You know what? You come to America, and now you all new friends, and all you knew was the Irish way of things, right? So how was it when you came to America?
Obviously, you know, when you leave at that age, I'm 1 of 9, so I had 4 siblings older than me, and they were just shattered. They were older teenagers. I was 13, so it wasn't, you know, it was a big deal, but it wasn't like them. They left their best friends, the childhood friends.
Right. Does any of your siblings have an Irish accent?
None of us. My
No.
mother sounds like she came off the boat yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, still.
Yeah.
And my father always had a Bronx accent anyway, so
What's his back? Like, what's his? Is his parents
Highbridge.
from Ireland?
Yeah, he just passed away this past February, but
Yeah,
he
my
grew up.
dad told me that. Sorry about that.
Yep. He was good life. You know what I mean? He was the last of the Mohegans as far as all his whole crew. Most of his buddies are dead 10, 15 years. I don't know how he lasted this long, but he was high bridge, Marines. He was actually in corrections. All the stuff we found out later in life, we didn't even know because back then they didn't tell you shit,
Yeah, that's the Irish too.
And
My
then
father always says the Irish and their secrets.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I found out I was probably 15 when I found out he was in the fire department. So he was in I think it was in engine 95.
95 engine.
95 engine.
Well, Inwood.
Yeah,
Inwood. Yeah, that's
yeah.
95 and 36. 36
Yep.
truck.
So then it was later in life we found that out. That's the way it was. And like I said, Marines and growing up in High Bridge, we couldn't understand over in Ireland. He became a handball champ, a squash champ, and we're like, where did this come from? And growing up in the Bronx, obviously he was great at handball, so just naturally suited a lot of the wall sports over there.
Yeah.
And he played basketball and things like that over there, and then we always had a love for the States because we'd family here too, so it was kind of best of both worlds,
Yeah.
And then we got here early summer '79, so we had the whole summer to make friends before school started. Still good friends with those same people now, and that's great when I go back because I still see the guys I went to school with over there. So there's most of them are still around. There's a couple who moved to Australia and London, like a lot of the Irish did, but still have good friends there.
That part of the Bronx had a lot of Irish. In that whole area. It used to be so many Irish pubs in those areas too.
Oh yeah. Right. I mean, we were going out to Offaly Association dinners. What street? I mean, it's south of Fordham, and it was all University Avenue. It was all Irish. University
Irish. Yeah.
It was all Irish.
My mother met my father at the Jug of Punch, that was on Jerome Avenue, just south of Fordham Road.
Yeah. Wow.
So, does anybody in your family speak Irish, the Irish language?
We all had to learn a little Gaelic. Nobody
cool.
Not fluently anymore. I mean, whatever we learn, it's just like learning Spanish in high school. Like, unless you're using it, you forget it. A couple of phrases here and there. Funny story. It was. I don't know if you remember the Nortons, Mike Norton.
I know that name.
Yeah, they lived on Terry Hill.
Other than the Honeymooners, I do remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Mike was a Ma Bell guy, whatever, and he was from the Gaeltacht out of by Spittle, out past Spittle in Galway, and he ended up in the U.S. Army here in the 50s and 60s, and he fell and hit his head. They had a stroke. I want to say like 10 years ago, and he woke up in a hospital and could only speak Gaelic after that. That's how he grew up. Never went back. He used to have to get the people from like the Tara Circle would come up and speak Gaelic to him, and friends he knew that would come and talk to him in Gaelic. But he passed away a few years ago. But it was kind of a crazy story about.
Wow, that is a crazy story. Wow, that's a great story.
You would have went to school with a couple of his.
I know that name.
Kids. Yeah,
I do know that name. I can't think it. I'd have to look up the yearbooks and look up that name.
He would have been a Mitch's Barstool quite a bit. One of those guys.
Yeah. So tell me stories that were passed down, like from your family, things that you'd hear around the house or whatever. Something you want to share.
Oddly enough, my father's family is 7 miles away outside of Tullamore. So my father and mother met out here, and he ran off a bus, and she was carrying groceries, whatever. He ended up knocking her down anyway, and they start talking, and he says, where are you from or whatever. She says Tullamore, and the place he's from in Ireland is actually called the Blue Ball. It's a real place. It's actually a little village. And so if you know that name, you're not full of shit. You're not making it up. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
She said, "Oh my God!" And then years later, obviously they got married, kids, and we had gone back, and we were in the Blue Ball. And I was only a kid. I was probably 12. It was before we came back out here, and seemingly my father had gone back. And the Blue Ball was when they measured Ireland. The kings and for the provinces to figure out how much land they had, they would ride by horseback from one side of the country to the other. And when they met, it was marked by a ball, colored ball. So that's where that village became the Blue Ball. So it used to hang off in front of a building. So my father was back there. He played in Ballantine Ale sponsored, obviously Ireland, England, States. When they were in Ireland, he took a bunch of guys and went back to the Blue Ball, and he ends up climbing the building and stealing the blue ball and bringing it back with them. So there's a song over there named about who stole the ball from the blue ball. Is a song poem about it. Well, when he got back to the States, my grandfather, he was on the IRA side of the conflict back in the early 20s and came back.
Yep.
And the blue ball and Kalahi were his village, and he was absolutely pissed off. So my old man had to get back on a plane, bring the ball back to the blue ball. That was
Is the blue ball still there?
still there. So now they've taken it. It's much bigger chain on it now, and it's actually got its own post. And the village is still there, and the bar. There's a main place is the bar called Blue Ball, and that's everybody knows. Everybody goes.
Okay, oh, that's a great story.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm sure they have video cameras on that thing now. Nobody's taking that thing.
Well, they're probably happy he passed away this past February. To say feel safe.
Somebody will hear this podcast and be like, "I'm getting the blue ball. I'm going for the blue ball now."
Yeah, there's a couple of great pubs out there. A lot of those country pubs. It's unfortunate now that they're only open a couple of days anymore. I know you've been back a lot, so you'll see where these bars were open, pubs were open 7 days a week, and there was a gathering place. Now there's open up in the afternoon, probably closed at 9, 10 o'clock at night, most of them.
Yeah, especially the more rural you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of the rural pubs are even closing down. It's really sad,
Yeah.
Again, I've said this before. This is actually one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. I like to bring up stories about these types of places. This way, it's sort of a little bit of a documentation on the history of, that they even existed.
Exactly.
And
they still pour the best pints. All those little pubs. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. This past trip when I was out and I was up in Donegal. Well, we stayed in Derry. But we went over into Donegal and hit a bunch of the pubs up there. And we had a friend of ours, this guy was on the podcast last, was this guy Dermot. And he took us to a bunch of those little rural pubs, thatched roof, some of them. Some of them are tourist type places, but they're in the middle of nowhere. So they're not getting a lot of action. But man, the pints there were
the best.
Oh, they were the best.
Yeah.
They were the best, and
no
music. Those places, there's no music other than if you're going to sing, with a couple of people, but because it's all about the conversation.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time that these pubs, like in the rural Ireland, the farmer or whoever, they would come in there at night after working in the field or wherever and go in for conversation. That was some people didn't even drink. They just, but the pub was the place where they socialized, and
you found out what's going on.
You find out what's going on. You find the news. You find out, what the weather is.
Yep. There's a little place just outside, just not far from the Blue Ball. It's called Ballyboys. It's another tiny little village and attached pub called Dan and Molly's, and it's another place that's just oozing of character. In fact, there's a couple of hurling pictures on the wall of my grandfather. So from 1921, 22, which is kind of amazing. So when I bring my kids back and show them, their great grandfather, but that pub, anytime you're there and it's open, there's a very good chance the session breaks out, especially, like September harvest time when these guys are breaking their ass all day long. They'll go head out to the pub and a little session breaks out.
Yeah. I love that. It just has that homey feeling. You just, that's what I love every time we go back. Are you going back a lot or no?
I am. I still have a lot of cousins there. Godchild, a couple of nieces, and my sister, an older sister, actually just moved back full time probably about 3 months ago. And my sister Tricia, Tricia's got a house in Roscommon.
Okay.
They've got there's a place called Anthony Burns, Beirnes, and you walk in and it's a little one gas pump outside. Inside is a little shop. It's got everything from fishing hooks to sausages. You name it, they've got it. And then you walk through this little tiny door to the pub, and the door is only 5'10" or whatever it is. And then it full blown out pub that's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And again,
that's in Roscommon.
It's in Strokestown, Roscommon. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got the best pint of Guinness in that area, bar none.
Well, that's on my, now I'm gonna put that on my bucket list. Not only am I, enjoying the podcast, I'm getting good feedback for where I got to go next time I'm there. Yeah, I think I'm going over in June.
And you listen past Tullamore to go out that way, so you got to pull in.
Yeah, I could, if I fly into Shannon, so I'm going up to Belmullet. Roscommon's a little bit out of the way, but I could swing that way. I'm not sure who's coming with me this time. I think my sister's coming with me, but
We fly into Dublin a lot now because of the new interstate is phenomenal. It takes an hour. It just takes nothing to get from. You went through every little village and every town to get to Tullamore. Took 3 hours from Dublin. Now you do it in an hour.
Yeah, it is definitely a good way to go. The only thing with Dublin Airport is it's just bigger. Getting in and out of Shannon, going through customs is like, like there's nobody there.
A breeze. Yeah.
I remember back in the 90s, Shannon Airport was packed.
That was the big one.
Yeah, everybody was at Shannon Airport. Now
it actually did all the big international military flights because I coached rugby for Harvey, and we did a tour in Ireland. We did down Muskerry down around Cork. The guys who were going out to Afghanistan, we had all these kids. Back then, if you remember, to call home, you used to buy this little. You get a little receipt and you call on the number on the receipt. So I had all these kids who had never called their parents, and $40-50 on these call cards basically. We handed them all to the military guys that were going back the other way. So, but it was a big stopover for military.
Okay.
Shannon.
Yeah. And then Shannon was closed for quite a bit during COVID.
Yeah. There's a great place in Tullamore you got to go to.
Give it to me.
Eugene Kelly's. It's on the corner. It's the first place when you come out of the, there's a big Gaelic football stadium, O'Connor Park in Tullamore. The first bar you hit when you hit town, it's only a few hundred yards. Is Eugene Kelly's, and it's phenomenal. A great bar, great place for a pint. Inside, the decorations inside, it's amazing. He cleans the place. The place is spotless. He's got every kind of knickknack you can think of. And then on Thursday, if you're ever there on Thursday, go on Thursday because the back snug area and a pub area in the back too. That it's some of the best session music. There's a young guy from Tullamore. He's actually kind of funny. He's tall and red hair. He looks and sounds like a young Luke Kelly. And if he's there singing, it's.
Well, that's something to say right there because in my opinion, Luke Kelly is the greatest Irish singer of all time.
He's got the look and he's got that deep voice. It's unique, pretty amazing.
Wow. I remember going to see the Wolf Tones at Characters in the Bronx.
Yep.
It was by Manhattan College.
Yep, right on the corner.
The Wolf Tones played there probably at least 20 years ago. This is when it was all four of them too. And after the show, like that kind of a place, you could sit at the bar and I got Tommy Burns sitting next to me having a beer and we're just talking, And I mentioned to him, I said, Tommy, who do you think the greatest Irish singer of all time was? And I said, I'm going to tell you who I think it is. I think it's Luke Kelly. And he looked at me and he said, he put his arm on me. He's like, you are 100% correct. Then he went on to tell me about, he had hung out with him. He knew him, obviously all those guys know each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, those were good times. So I tell people this all the time. The very first concert I've ever been to in my life, I was 13 years old, and it was the Wolf Tones. My father ran a Wolf Tones concert at George Fisher Middle School.
I got a funny story for you about that.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Were you there?
So even better than that. Oh yeah. We dropped off 7 cases of harp behind the stage. Now, no ice back then. There was just, and those guys and the roadies, whoever was with them, drank 7 cases of harp, and they ended up sleeping at our house in Lake Carmel, which was a small cape, and the basement was for the boys. We basically had a boxing ring with like 5 single beds around it, and the Wolf Tones slept in that house that night after that concert. I'm sure they thought they were in a palace someplace because it was so fucked up, but.
Oh, that's great.
I used to hate harp, the taste of harp. I'll never forget that. Yeah. So they went from the middle school concert to Lake Carmel for a extended party and then slept in the house that night.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you remember my father even being there?
Oh, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
your dad from way back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to get the Wolf Tones when they would play characters. They'd play on a Sunday night, and I would get them for a cut rate price for Fiddlers for the afternoon. So they'd play Fiddlers from 1 o'clock to like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and get driven in go down to the Bronx. And yeah, they
And
were
do the characters.
and they were young guys then. They could do all day long back then. That
Well, the
was
year I'm talking about at the middle school, that was
82 or 3.
yeah, 82 maybe.
82,
I
bro.
remember they were selling the album. It had just come out. Was
Yeah,
Belted
that's
to
right.
Celts.
Yep.
Yeah, that was I actually still have that album.
No
I
kidding.
also have, I don't have it right here. I used to have it right by the bar here. It's in a tube. It's a poster from that concert of all of them, and
Wow,
they all signed their names to my Jerry, my father.
that's awesome. Wow.
We still
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, back then they used to do the Emeralds used to do all sorts of great concerts like that. Hal Roach, he ended up screwing them. Some comedy. They used to do all sorts of. James Galway was out for a while. And later on, we had a couple of good ones at Fiddlers too. Black 47 played there.
The Fiddler's Green in Carmel. Your dad bought it, right? And that was
It was the Windjammer prize.
The Windjammer, yeah. I knew that because I played baseball for the Windjammers. That was one
Joni
of the teams.
O'Malley.
And that the woman, what do you call that?
She's still there. The ship's mast.
The ship's mast, right?
Ship's head. Ship's mast.
Yeah, the head of the ship, whatever, was the woman.
She's
and
still
that's
there.
Still in the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, we gave her a makeover about 15 or 16 years ago. So
Yeah,
she's looking good, better than ever.
So of all the years that you had the bar in Carmel, which is in Carmel, New York, in Putnam County, tell us some of the. There's got to be some wild stories that you saw from behind the bar there. This is the thing when you have a podcast about bars. Half the stories you can't say.
No, it was a great, as you know, it was a great run, great place, generational type places. We had generations. We had everything, weddings, wakes, funerals, you name it, was went in and out of that place. There's 1,000 stories for that place,
I know there's got to be 1,000 stories because, it's such an iconic bar, even like for me, because I grew up there. Every time we would get together, even to this day when we have our, 10-year reunion, high school reunion, 20-year high school reunion, 30-year high school. Now, next year is my 40-year high school reunion.
Mine was last week, and I couldn't make it.
I didn't see it in any of the pictures. I saw the pictures.
I had a wedding in D.C., so it killed me too because the Friday night was at Fiddlers, and it was a killer not being there. But,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Everybody goes to Fiddlers the night before the reunion, so that must happen every year.
Pretty much every year. Yeah.
Because it's that iconic place for everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
And
people remember where they were, whether it was from 9/11 to 94, where you had the Rangers, Knicks, OJ,
right.
The Yankees coming back and being something. It was a good place to watch games. Great place for all the Irish that came out. We always televised the Irish football and hurling, and they were Fiddlers for Mayo not winning again. So lots of kingdom victories, but and being a mile down from the hospital, I still to this day can't smoke a cigar anymore because of all the cheap shit cigars from people having a baby coming down with it's a boy, it's a blue, I smoke more bad cigars in that place, and it's nice because two of the bartenders that worked there for a decade or more each bought it, and they've kept it pretty much the same. So it's even better for me to go back in now because I know I don't have to work another 16 hours after I get there. So.
Right. So I don't know if you remember this. When I probably had just turned, of driving age, and my grandfather, he asked me to take him to go get his haircuts, because he couldn't drive anymore. So the barbershop was right next door to Fidds. So I'd take my grandfather to go get his haircut, and then where does he want to go after his haircut? He wants to go into Fidds. So, and it would just be for one, but he would always order this same thing. Now I'm driving him, so and I'm not even of age yet. I just started driving, but he would always get a Fleischmann's and a beer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he would have, a Fleischmann's and a beer. So that became like the ritual, and then then I'd take him home, and I'd get in trouble by my grandmother But, Grandpa passed away. And then I remember going into Fidds, and you were bartending. I go into Fidds, and I order a Fleischmann's and a beer. And I tasted this Fleischmann's for the first time, and I said, Grandpa, what the hell are you thinking? That stuff was terrible.
You can throw out the carburetor right now.
That was
rough.
terrible.
Yeah, those old timers, the Fleischmann's, Guggenheimer's another one. I mean, it is, oof. It's gasoline.
Yeah.
Absolute gasoline. But that's what they grew up on. They had no taste buds. They were smoking Pall Malls and
Camel no filters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The taste buds were gone.
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about before about the rural pubs closing down and only having short windows of them being open.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that it has to do with the no smoking in the bars anymore, right? People don't.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Like I said, it was one of the tours I went back with a rugby team, and they were saying, they were talking about in the States that we're going non-smoking. I knew we're fighting it. They'd already started. If you remember, they first phased it in. It was almost like COVID when they phased it in. You had to be 6 feet away for all this kind of shit. And then the bars started putting up glass and getting all sorts of HVAC systems, filter systems, and that was all garbage. But when I went back to Ireland the first time and they stopped in the pub, it was amazing how that just screwed up that country.
Yeah.
And you know what else did? The cell phone. And I like everybody now, especially after COVID, like I've got a couple of cousins that have the nicest little pubs in their house now.
Yeah.
So it's actually killed the pub industry over there.
Yeah. My cousin Peter in Mayo, he has a beautiful little pub, and he actually has a sign on the back. It says, what did he call it? He calls it the lockdown bar or something like that because he built it during the lockdown.
During COVID, yeah. It was funny. They could get, like my cousin's bar over there, they could get kegs during COVID. They couldn't return the keg. So his backyard looked like, it was a metal factory. It more cans of kegs of beer in the backyard. But it stinks because, like you said, unless it's a special occasion, people, they just, and those small pubs are the ones that are dying.
Yeah. The actual first podcast I did, my buddy Tommy Brennan, who I went to college with, he used to go over to Ireland to see his family every summer. He'd be over there for like 10 or 12 weeks for the summer. But they had a family pub called T. Brennan's. It was in Sligo.
Oh, wow.
Tubbercurry, Sligo.
Yep.
And it was open since the 1930s. And once COVID hit, it closed, and that was that.
Wow.
It's sad. I hate seeing that.
Yeah. There's a good bar in Sligo not far from there called the Beach Bar. I don't know if you've been there.
The Beach Bar, is that the one that's out on the
all by itself?
Yeah. The Strand.
Yes. Yeah. Very cool spot. That's a really cool spot. Did you say you're going back to Cork?
No, I was in Cork last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in Cork that's when we went to the Middleton Distillery.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we took a day trip to the distillery, which was really cool.
There's a great pub there. They one of the brothers, Bobby, ended up opening 6 or 7 pubs out here. He since has gotten out of business, but he opened a pub in White Plains, Yorktown, Kisco, Brewster, and Pauling, O'Connor's. But there's their pub in Blarney, right across from the castle, is called the Muskerry Arms, O'Connor's Muskerry Arms, and it's right next to. When you look out across the green area, it's the Blarney Castle, and then to the left is the Blarney Woolen Mills. So they get like 100 buses of tourists a day.
Yeah, that's a big tourist section right there.
And their place is it's like a Rory Dolan's right there. They do such a great job.
Another pub I love, Rory Dolan's. That's a great bar.
They just don't get it wrong. They just do it right every time.
Rory's got that thing dialed in.
Yeah. I'll be down there next for breakfast next Thursday. We have the annual Sandhog Mass, so we go there afterwards. So that's
I'll be there. I'm there always the first Friday of December. That's my firehouse that I was originally in 75 and 33 on Jerome Avenue. That's where we have our reunion.
Oh, very nice.
It's always the first Friday in December. It's been that way since I came on a job.
That's awesome.
And it's always at Rory's.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I remember when they built that back room, because when he first built that, he didn't have that room where do the catering. But that's a great place.
That was actually a gas station. They said it'd never work. In
Well, it
1993,
works.
they said he's crazy. Yeah, never work.
You know, there's a lot of nice bars in Woodlawn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
The
it's
good pint
really
is
like
the Avenue.
the last hurrah of the Bronx.
Squeeze
Now,
them
even
out.
though Rory's is technically in Yonkers, uh, that whole area is
Still the Bronx.
still the Bronx.
Yeah, agreed. I think a great shot in the arm for them too was moving the parade from the other side of Yonkers to McLean.
To
It's
McLean, yeah, that's a great parade. That's a
great
great,
parade.
it's a great parade.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
My cousin Dawn runs the Irish music for her school is really out of Yonkers, but it's on McLean Avenue. It's at the Ashling Center.
Yeah.
That's where they do it. She runs the Irish music. She teaches all the Irish music. She does the tin whistle, piano,
Wow,
all that stuff, singing.
that's awesome.
She actually was, I think she was a grand marshal of the parade like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, very cool.
But
Very.
so back to family. I asked you this one question before, and you had a really good answer. I said, do you have any experience from family members telling the same story, the same exact story differently? And you said, I have many of those types of stories, and it was probably all during the same drinking session.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get together and over a course. Like I said, I'm 1 of 9, so we all remember every single one totally different.
Right.
Even from when we came out from Ireland to what we actually moved from. This is crazy. We moved from the States to Ireland in '69, which I didn't even know. I didn't comprehend that. We moved for like 8 months, and then my father got whatever up his ass and said, "Look." He moved us back, and then 6 months later, we moved back to Ireland again. And that all came, like I said, he passed away in February. Sitting around the house talking, we were totally. It was pretty much 3 days because the usual, wake. So we kind of all congregated around my sister Trisha's house, and we're listening to stories. I'm like, was I in that same place you were? Because I don't remember like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's just typical, right? And especially when you add alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. The stories they do tend to get embellished sometimes, but that's
No
okay.
doubt about it.
But that's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
I've
It's
been
all
voted
part of the
victim.
story.
Exactly.
Do you
They
ever
get
hear
better.
do you ever hear the story of the longest beer run? The guy Chicky Donahue.
So Chicky, I got his book over. It's right over there, actually. I was the steward on the Second Avenue subway on Graveyard, and Chicky was my hog house. He used to clean the hog house. So he's a pisser. I got a signed autograph book from Chicky, and he's down in Florida now. He might be up next Thursday for the mass. He comes up for the mass.
Really?
Yeah, he's a character.
I'm probably gonna reach out to him and see if he would want to do the podcast. My cousin Jimmy Diamond knows him pretty well.
You're related to Jimmy Diamond?
You know Jimmy Diamond. Jimmy Diamond's my cousin. Yeah, right. You're a sandhog. That's right.
My brother Mike passed away. Mike was one of my. I was very
Yeah.
close with Mike. He was actually bottom bell for me on Second Avenue.
Yeah,
Great guy.
That's actually
Great
a
guy.
sad story. That whole
Yeah.
thing. His
Yeah,
son
his
Mike
daughter,
is a
too.
fireman.
I saw Jimmy recently, actually, Diamond. Like I said, he'll be there next Thursday at the mass at St. Barnabas, and then we go to Rory's for a nice Irish breakfast after that.
Let's revisit the stories. Is there one story that you would not want to get lost? You're sitting down and telling your kids. It could be a story about your father, your mother, something that happened when you were younger, or something that they even told you happened to them when they were younger, but something that you think you should pass on to your kids so they don't forget.
I'll give you a couple. One is the difference in my grandfathers. Right, we were both named Jack Drum and Jack Feighery. They both fought back in from 1916 to 1920. I think 23. Jack Feighery came out. Jack Feighery stayed on the IRA side, and Jack Drum went to the Michael Collins side. It was lieutenant for him. And the crazy part was he got shot by one of his best friends that he grew up with, but they had taken different sides, and he lost his arm, so he was called One Arm Jack. And my the Feighery side had to leave Ireland because he was going to get caught and going to go to jail. Best case scenario, I guess. And that's how that guy came out to the States. And just crazy how my parents met. living so close to each other, their parents living so close to each other. Just it's kind of wild. But a funny story about Fiddlers. If you remember back in like '86 or '87, we had a couple of tornadoes went through, and it wiped out parts of Brewster Heights and a couple other places. So we had these Norwegian Tree Company was here for about 3 weeks or a month, and these guys would work 16. I don't know where they slept. They sometimes it was at the bar and Fiddlers, and they drank their faces off. They were machines. They were big, strong men, and they were well able for it. It was they had one guy with them who was like their little leprechaun kind of. He was the climber for the tree company, and all he wanted to do was kiss the lady behind the bar. Remember we were talking about the mask? So it's their last night, and a few times during the week he wanted to go behind the bar. He just wanted to touch her, and that was the deal. So he said, okay. It was our last night. I said, you can go up there. I said, just give her one kiss. Don't touch her. Hands behind your back. We got a bar stool out. We put him up on a bar stool. He still couldn't reach. We got a folding ladder. Put him up on a folding ladder. He went up. He said, "Can I kiss her on the cheek?" He went to kiss her on the cheek, and then he went and grabbed her boobs. So it was the funniest thing. Everybody started dying laughing. Right? So about a week later, I get this giant leprechaun. You probably saw it. It was a big stuffed animal leprechaun, and it sat up in Fiddlers for 5 or 6 years. And one night, Tommy Sneed from Tom and Jerry's, and they went on a covert operation while I wasn't there, and they stole the leprechaun. So they put it up in Tom and Jerry's, and they put a ball and chain on the ankle, the whole 9 yards, and they put a little wrap around, the duct tape around the mouth. I still didn't even know it was there, right? And then I started getting notes to saying, we're looking for money to get your leprechaun back. And I'm getting pictures sent to me in envelopes to the bar with a handgun next to the leprechaun's head and the whole 9 yards. So it was this big goof that went on for about a month.
Yeah.
Finally, somebody says, your leprechaun's over at Tom and Jerry's. So we go over that one night, and we drink for 7 or 8 hours. So I get a couple of my guys. We draw up a brand new big sign on wax paper, a giant sign that says Fiddler's East. And when Tom and Jerry's closes up, we put over the front sign. Don't you know the state trooper and the sheriff pull up? Here we are putting a new sign on the thing. But that was the kind of great back there, like especially mid '90s. Like you knew every bartender from every bar who worked what shifts. Your night off, you knew where you're going, and the camaraderie was phenomenal. Like the times I want to get.
I actually asked. I texted Tommy Sneed. I want to get him on the podcast. Yeah. So he said, "Oh, what am I going to talk about?" I said, "Don't worry about it.
He'll even sing a song. He actually has a great voice."
Yeah, all right. I'm writing that down too.
I never had.
I'm gonna send him this episode and then make sure he gets.
There you go. Exactly.
So now what I got to ask you is, give me some dirt. You got any dirt on him? Tommy's a funny guy.
He's a pisser. He's the best. Yeah. Well, tell him he's got to come up for the Grand Marshal next year for parade. I was telling you. Tell him he's got to come up.
Yeah. He's still in the bar business.
He's in Myrtle, North Myrtle.
I'm trying to think of the name of the bar. Molly Darcy's?
Molly's on the beach. Molly's on the beach.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. He actually had one in South Carolina too. I went down to in Charlotte, not Charlotte,
Charleston.
Yeah, and that lasted a bunch of years. But they were hoping, I think, the development in the cruise ships area. That's where he was, but that never happened. So he still got the Molly's on the beach.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and get in there at some point. My dad's gonna be in Myrtle Beach now. That's where they go in the wintertime. When I was in college, there was a guy that he's a lot older than me, but he stayed up in Cortland where I went to school and opened up a pizzeria up there. Now he owns all the bars up there, the Dark Horse and all that. But every time I'd go up, he was originally from Brewster. So every time I was going up, this is after I graduated, I'm going up for a weekend or something. He'd text me, he'd be like, "Can you bring me up a bottle of Norm's Mystery Mix?" It was like a Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah, Bloody Mary mix, yeah.
Only you could get there,
That's right.
So I would always stop there and then bring that up to the Dark Horse.
There was a diner up in Cortland, Mary and
Frank and Mary's. Frank and Mary's. Have you been there?
Oh yeah, funny story. We're in the Dark Horse, and that had an upper balcony. But we were drinking for 3 or 4 days, and then that day we're drinking. I won a place up there at a fishbowl.
Yeah, Tootie's.
He finishes up the fishbowl, and we go to the dark horse, and we go upstairs because the football team's downstairs. Well, we go up to the bar, and back then everybody was drinking Seagram 7 for some reason, 7 and 7. So he took a big slurp out of 7 and 7, and the Seagrams was on top of it, and it hit him wrong. He turned around and threw up off of the balcony onto the football team guys on the bottom. Well, yeah, I was walking down with him as they were flying up to see who did it. We got out of there, thank God.
Let's see, any other? I mean, the one question I had is, what story represents your family's Irish heritage the best?
Yeah, we never got far away from Ireland. You know what I mean? Like before COVID, I go back every year. My cousins are out here. Like I said, my sister's living there now, and it was still a really tight connection there. And my kids love it.
Yeah.
And they're old enough, they go by themselves now. It's my older son, Danny, his company actually has an office in Dublin. So they're back. He's back there 2-3 times a year.
Do you golf?
So yeah.
You do?
Not very well.
Well, that's okay.
I ran a great trip in 2006. We had 20 guys from here went out for the Ryder Cup. So the Ryder Cup was at the K Club that year.
Okay.
Now I set up we knew we were going to drink a lot, so it wasn't like playing every day. We did three rounds every other day, and the first round was in Tullamore, just get everybody acclimated, and the Ryder Cup was that weekend. So the U.S. sucked that year, and we just drank our faces off and played Tullamore on Monday. We played Esker Hills, where Shane Lowry's from. So funny enough, so that's 2006. The assistant pro there is a friend of mine, Tommy Flanagan, and he said, "Would you mind if this guy goes out in front of you before you guys start they call it a society over there, your golf society?" So yeah, whatever, no problem. So ends up being Shane Lowry, and if you know Esker Hills, it's a dogleg right, the first hole, and he looked like a little fat kid. I'm not kidding. Back then, he was probably 18 or 19. Well, he hammers it 330 over the trees, and he's about 8 feet from the pin. We had to drive down to see where the ball landed because it was, and then the rest is history. So
wow.
Now.
That's like the first hole. That's kind of like the first hole at Bethpage.
I've never played Bethpage.
Well, even if you watched it on the TV, because there were guys that were, I was there for the practice rounds, and
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
That dogleg right, and some guys go over the trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, the original Tullamore factory, now Lowry. It's not the factory anymore. The factory is just outside of town. Larry owns, it's called the Heritage Pub, and it's in the same old building, which is right on the canal. Pretty cool.
So maybe we should get together and do a trip. Yeah, we should get together over there. I'm always looking for an excuse to go over.
We played. Yeah, the last round we played was Glasson, which is right on Loch Ree, which is in Athlone, and another gorgeous. It's got an island green. Really cool course.
The next Ryder Cup in what is it, 27?
That's there. It would have been the anniversary.
It's in Adair Manor, yeah.
And that place you can't touch that place.
No, that place that's pretty nice.
It's insane. That would have been the 20-year anniversary of us, except for COVID bounced it 1 year. So we went 06, 26 would have been the.
At some point, we definitely got to hook up over in Ireland and even play a round of golf. I'm not that great either. Work out. Do you ever get up to Mayo at all?
Yeah, I did the Crowpatrick a couple times.
You climbed Crowpatrick? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to that Campbell's Pub, which is at the bottom?
The seafood chowder there is phenomenal. The Guinness is awesome too, especially after climbing it.
Yeah.
The first time I did it was a really hot day, so the first Guinness I don't even remember tasting. It just went right down. There was no splitting the G. It was gone.
Right. Well, if you listen to my the podcast that I did of Dermot right before this, he talks about he climbed Crowpatrick 4 times, and the way he explains coming down the mountain, he says, "Tim, when you come down that mountain, you're just gasping for a pint."
So he's right on,
and that's where he goes, is the place Campbell's. Yep. That's a great place.
Phenomenal.
Nice little place.
My nephews went to Gonzaga. So Gonzaga, some of the Catholic schools, the high schools, they do a trip there with the dads and sons. That's one of the things they do. So Gonzaga is one of those schools. And if you look in Campbell's, all the IDs are stapled to the ceiling. Yeah. So there's a few Feigherys on the ceiling there.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of like patches, like fire department, police
Yep.
department patches, everything all over the walls
Well,
there.
a lot of the Crow Patrick is a pilgrimage. So if somebody's got cancer or something like that, some sort of affliction, people
Right.
that's the
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
their, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, definitely
That's
cool.
another thing on my bucket list.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I will get to
Awesome.
it. I'll get to it.
Yeah, I had a knee surgery. I said this is my my test, and I made up
And
no
it worked?
problem. So
It was okay.
it all worked. Sucked on the way down, to be honest. The way up was easier than the way down. The way down,
sometimes the way down is harder.
heavier frames now, Timmy. You know, we
Yeah.
were a lot lighter years ago.
Yeah, you're telling me. But I don't know. I guess I'm just older now.
That's it. Yep.
No. All right, Tommy.
All right, brother.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah,
And,
pleasure.
all right, brother.